It's stated in Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that the purpose of practicing devotional service according to regulative principles is to develop the desire for pure love of God. That's stated in Nectar of Devotion. And we see, if a person practices regulative devotional service under the instructions of the spiritual master for some time, basically they become a madman after pure love of Godhead. That's all they want. They have this like burning desire to go out and just chant. It's like, I can remember like when I retired from business, it was like, throw everything in the truck, drive out to the West Coast, ship it all to Hawaii, camp out in the woods, just leave me alone. I want to sit under a tree and chant. That's all I wanted to do. I had this, huge desire. And it's like right before, it was really funny, Maya tested me. Right before I left, right before I left Florida, it's like, all these women wanted to sleep with me, and like all these people wanted to be my friend all of a sudden, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm out of here, man. Bye. I just like escaped and drove out to the coast, went out to Hawaii. I even 9/11 couldn't stop me. I was supposed to fly on 9/12/2001. Needless to say, I didn't go anywhere because there was a ban on flights after the 9/11 incident. So I had to like I had already shipped my truck out, and I had to find a place to stay. Luckily, some devotees in LA put me up. And then it's like the first flight after they started flying again to Hawaii, I was out of there, and I was just so anxious. It's like I just went like straight to the place where I was supposed to camp out. I didn't even go sightseeing. I didn't see anything. I just went right to that spot, got away from everybody, stocked up on food, hid my truck in the woods, and just started chanting. And that was it. Okay, hey, slow down. What was that question? What was that question? Can all souls go back to the spiritual world? If all go to the spiritual world, there is no need for the... Well, they did. They did. There was a pastime in Lord Chaitanya's Leela where one of his disciples said to him, Lord Chaitanya, please give me the karma of all the conditioned souls, and you liberate them and let them go back to the spiritual world. I don't care about me, but I can't stand to see them suffering. So you give me all their karma, and you liberate everybody. And Lord Chaitanya was so struck by this. He was like floored by the immense compassion of his devotee. And he said, by your request, I will liberate all the living entities in this universe. But you don't have to take the karma, that's all right. I'll just cancel it. So you get your wish. So Lord Chaitanya, in other words, Lord Chaitanya liberated all the living entities in this material universe 500 years ago. That means that everybody that's here now has either come here from another material universe or fallen down from the spiritual sky within the last 500 years. That's our theology. So yes, that conversation is correct. There's always new people coming to the material world, or there's always people in other material universes who can be transferred to this universe. If this universe is, emptied out because everyone is liberated. So that's not a problem. There's so many living entities in all states of material conditioning and like that. Marjan, geez, what is this question? If the soul is eternal individual, that means there are no new souls are created. That means that there is one exact number of souls, and if soul can't go back to the material world, it came to the spiritual world, That means that all souls are sooner or later go back. Oh, come on. This isn't material. You're using material logic to try to understand spiritual things. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's just like the people, you know, who try to understand, well, are we the same as God or are we different from God? You know, which is it? Well, I can't resolve this question. Well, just because you can't use the same kind of logic. You can't use arithmetic to understand the condition of the souls because it's not subject to that kind of logic. Okay? You know, if Krishna wants to create more souls, he can. You know, or if he wants to liberate everybody, he can. You know, he can do anything. He's not subject to even his own laws. He can change his mind. He can change his mind. So if, you know, if there's some shortage of souls, he can always make more. But actually, he doesn't like to create this material world. You know, it's just like the government. The government doesn't really want to maintain prison houses. But they have to because there are self-destructive individuals who create all kinds of problems for others if there's no deterrent or no punishment. One of the most important aspects of jails is that the people who are a disturbance in society can be put there so that they don't harm others. So the government doesn't like that. I mean, it's, you know, that's not what they want to do. They want to, they want everybody to be free, but to be a good citizen. So they make jails because they have to. So similarly, Krishna doesn't want to create this material world, but because some of us desire to live separate from him, in order to satisfy our desire, he creates this material world. You know, so Krishna does that, but he does it to satisfy us, not because he wants to, but because he loves us, and he wants to give us what we want so that we can experience and understand why it's a bad idea. You know, you really want that? Are you sure you want that? Okay, here you go. Boom, in the material world. So, yeah, Krishna is unlimited, and he's beyond our understanding. And he can do anything, you know. So if all the souls in the material world finally gave it up and said, okay, let's go back to the spiritual world, we're done, we're out of here, you know, that would be great. Then Krishna wouldn't have to go to all this trouble to create and maintain the material world, and he could just, you know, relax in Goloka Vrindavan. He wouldn't have to incarnate, you know, and disturb everybody's day. He would just be able to, you know, everybody could just sit back and enjoy eternally in the spiritual world. That would be great. Everybody would love that. But there's always somebody who, you know, has to misuse their free will. Just like in the material world, there's always some guy who has to go out and commit a crime. You know, so Krishna is pretty much forced to create the material world to give us what we want. So I get on these rants, you know. What do you think? Is everybody pretty much satisfied? Do we have more questions? Or
One last question. How long do you...
It doesn't have to be the last question. It's when everybody's happy.
How long do you chant the basic chant until you switch to the more powerful ones?
We advise everybody to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya in the beginning, because that mantra doesn't accept offenses as easily. The mood of the Dvadashakshara mantra is Krishna in Dwarka as a great king. And, you know, a king has to deal with all different kinds of people. And he's a public figure. So, you know, anybody can show up and you know, he has to be able to deal with that. gracefully. So the scope of chanting that mantra is much broader than the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In the chanting of the Maha Mantra, there are 10 offenses. Yeah, and we've described all those offenses on our website. There's a whole, many conversations about that on our forum and so on. So,
I think it was over yesterday.
A little bit, yeah. We mentioned a few of them. I think it was in the car, wasn't it? Yeah. On the way to the kirtan. Anyways, the offenses are there because the Maha Mantra is about Krishna and the gopis in Vrindavan. And that's a very confidential pastime. That's not a public pastime. See? Just like you don't